Hello, Nikki Does here, back with another pick and place video. I have a unique opportunity because I've got the LamenPnP. Now, granted, it's some number of versions old. I don't know how many versions now, but it's a 3.0.1, and it has a significant deficiency compared to the current ones. Anyway, I've also got the PandaPlacer A1, which I've made a number of videos on. Both of these are OpenPnP based machines, so they are quite simple in their mechanism because OpenPnP brings all the complexity. Before I get too far into this, I have to apologize. My writers and my producer were all out last night, and I think they stayed out a bit late, and I think they ate the shellfish and all got sick, so it's just me producing this video. And my audio person was there, and my caterers were out too. Everybody was out, the whole entire crew, so it's just me, so I apologize for the low quality of this video. I'm sure it's going to be low quality, so you got just me today. Let's get into a couple of the differences because I think this is a unique opportunity. I've bought the LamenPnP some time ago, and I really wasn't successful with it, so and I've been pretty vocal about that. And I think that's been fair because it's not been a good experience. And then I got the PandaPlacer, and that has been, certainly there have been a couple bumps, but nothing where it's been difficult and protracted, let's say. So the PandaPlacer was up and running quite quickly, and I did have a circuit board failure. So I did replace that. I'll get into all that here in just a second. So fairly unscripted, let's just get started. Let's start with the LamenPnP over here. Again, this is version 3.0.1, bought I think a little over a year ago, if I recall correctly. If we look, and let's just compare the two, the form factors are quite a bit different. The LamenPnP is quite low, but it's also wide and deep. It's meant to have the feeders all on the front rail here and none on the sides. And it's got quite a bit of, what do you call, build platform, kind of like assembly platform space. And you can add more of these grid type boards as you go back. Now, some kind of unusual things. First off, I made this cowl fixture off of somebody else's cowl fixture, which was a massive departure from the LamenPnP's originally delivered calibration fixture. This is how the vision system goes and finds that dot, and that's how it finds kind of zero. And then there's a step up here. There's a second dot, a second fiducial, and that's used to calibrate kind of the 3D aspect of it. There's a lot of detail on the OpenPnP wiki about how that works. And Lumen decided not to use that originally. They used their own calibration system, or kind of an older version. And so anyway, I printed that. This is my discard bin, which I also printed. So if you have a bad pick or you don't need the part, it'll discard into here and you can save the part. It doesn't just throw it somewhere on your counter. And then these are all strip feeders because at that point, the proton feeder was not ready, or certainly was not ready for prime time. I think it may have been in some sort of early iteration. And you can buy additional ones of these build plate thingies. They're called staging plates. So another staging plate back here. And you'll see that it's a 20 millimeter, 2 centimeter wide rail, which is the same for both. But in this version, at least, they used this kind of V-groove drive here, which I think turned out to be not nearly accurate enough. And not only that, but yeah, it just really didn't turn out to be accurate enough. I could never get this machine to do a good job on 0603 parts, let alone 0402s, which is what I really needed. But, you know, I think they were saying it would do 0603s. Both machines have the same seesaw type axis. One motor drives one up, one down kind of thing. That worked pretty well, except Lumen decided to go against what OpenPnP authors and maintainers recommend. It's a fairly technical thing, but they have their Z height set at a bizarre level, whereas they don't. Yeah, it's just if you get into it, you'll find out that there are huge notes in OpenPnP wiki that say don't put your Z height at these crazy levels, and for whatever reason, LumenPnP did that anyway. Then you have this energy chain kind of thing here, which is hanging off in the distance. There's really not much to support that. So this adds a lot of load and a lot of uncertainty to both backlash and to accelerations. So it's kind of a problem for this. It adds this twist here to this. You see the whole nozzle twisting. So if it's in front like this and there's more hanging off the back, there's more twist. If it's in the back more, there's less twist, there's less weight on here. So that changes a lot of kind of offset, and it also adds to the torque required to the motor, so there's a lot of unpredictability that happens there. Now, in full disclosure, the newer kits have linear rails in here, which we'll see in just a second, because the PandaPlacer uses those same linear rails, so the same ones that we're going to see on the PandaPlacer are now part of the LumenPnP kit. Now, this kit is around $2,000, so it is not cheap, and there's not much that's really in here for $2,000. You do have a Y motor in the back over here, and you have a second Y motor on the other side. That's pretty much required, or you would have a lot of jog in here, a lot of canting. There's an X motor over here. There's a single Z motor, as we just mentioned, and there are two rotate motors, one for each nozzle right here. And then if we look underneath, there's a lot of, it's all 3D printed stuff. So there's a 3D printed support here. This is honestly a really cheap camera, which caused me a lot of problems. And there's this brackety thing that kind of snaps on here, I think to keep the shipping size smaller. I don't know why that isn't just one big piece, but it falls off if I lift this up. There's a custom motherboard here. And from the custom motherboard, it's got a USB A, is that, or B? I think B is that one. So I think called a B. The old school, like the early 2000s B connector. And then each camera comes in as its own USB A or B, the old style USB 2 connector. So you have 3 USBs that you have to plug in, and I had a lot of problems with that too, because the cameras have to come in on their own USB hub or their own, I don't know, whatever, their own USB kind of root hub, or there were problems. So I had a lot of problems disconnecting, reconnecting. And this cable is very short, so your laptop is really tied to be quite close to here. Yeah, other than that, I mean, and the reset button is under here, so you have to kind of reach under here if you want to reset this, which I found I had to do quite often because of a lot of USB problems. So, yeah, that's basically, you can see it's some pieces of 20 millimeter standardized extrusion, energy chain, a number of servo motors, the things we just looked at, and a lot of 3D printed parts. The 3D printing is done really well and so forth. But yeah, when I got this, one of the cameras, and I think it was the bottom camera, completely didn't work, like zero. And we worked until like 2 in the morning trying to figure out what was wrong. We were very new to this. And we actually reflowed the camera board a bit with some hot air, and it started working again. But we also contacted Opulo and said, hey, we're having trouble with this camera. And I mean, to be honest, we got a lot of pushback about it, saying, well, did you try a bunch of stuff? We put a lot of time into it, and we showed that that was the problem. And of course, we had fixed it already. So it took a long time to get a replacement, and then we actually had to ship the old one back, which I kind of get. I would want to see what was wrong too. But what we actually did in the meantime was we just bought another one off Amazon for like 12 bucks. So it was the same exact camera. So it was really kind of a difficult situation. The support situation wasn't all that great either for us. We had, you have to file a case kind of thing, and there's a lot of questions, kind of like big company support, even though they're very small. And then the last thing, and I do have some bones to pick with Opulo. I think there's a lot of really cheery videos up for this product, and I think that gives people the impression that it is a phenomenal product, but because the videos are really enthusiastic and really cheery, but it's really not that great of a product yet. I get the enthusiasm. It's great. It's sort of Steve Jobs, early Elon Musk style, but it's really not that great of a product yet. It was really kind of a piece of crap. So This thing was not real capable at the time, but it was sold as super awesome, like the best of the best. If I'm to be really negative, I'd say it's sort of Theranos, but it really isn't all that great. I think they made some improvements. It didn't come with any of the stuff for feeders, any of the boards or any of the control stuff to hook feeders up. As I said, it's 3 USBs that are separate. So to put feeders on was quite a bit of extra money on top of the $2,000 you already spent. So all in all, not real impressed. Then not long after that, so let's say a year later, I gave up on the Opulo LumenPnP and I decided to try this Panda. The Panda was, I think, $799. It is essentially all metal. All the feeders that you see on here, all these tape and reel feeders that you see on here are printed and assembled by me, so those do not come with it. But the circuit boards, and there are 65 points for circuit boards to come in here for, not circuit boards, for feeders to connect up in here. So let's get back to that. I'm kind of getting off the topic. So the first thing is this is narrower and taller. And what that does for you, it definitely limits the board space. So if you have a huge board you want to build, this is not really going to be for you. But on the other side, my boards are usually pretty small, and I think a lot of ours are. So what it does do is I get 3 sides to put feeders on. I've got 13 feeders capable in the front, and I've got to do quick math here, 26 on the left and 26 on the right that I can put in. And those are of the automatic feeders. I also put in some strip feeders